Okay, we're back. We are back. We are live. Let me make sure we're good. I think we're good. Let me see. Let me see. I can't tell. I think we're good. Hold on. Yep. Okay. All right, we're good. Let me go ahead and go live on Instagram. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Not everybody, y'all know what I meant. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Taylor. Taylor. Back with another Takeaways with Tay this Sunday. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Not everybody. I keep saying that. Not everybody. Happy Father's Day to the fathers. Um, and yeah, happy Sunday. And let's get started. This is a today is a special day, guys, because this is a book right here. This book right here really changed the way that I think about time. And I've put like so many people onto this book, right? I love reading. I love talking about what I've read. And especially to people who kind of like, we think the same, or we kind of vibrate on the same frequency. And yeah, so like the people that I know that would appreciate a book like this, I've put them onto it. And it's called The Power of Now. It's by Eckhart Tolle. And for anyone who hasn't read this book, where can I start? This is one of them books that is it's going to change the way you think about a lot of things. This book is going to change the way you perceive time, or at least it changed the way I perceive time. And it changed the way that I look at like life and occurrences and things like that. Once again, the book is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I remember, so like when I don't even know how I do know how I came across this book. So I was on the way to the airport, and when I got to the airport, I was like, I forget where I was headed. And I stopped at the bookstore to get me something, just to read, because I like to treat myself with books. And this is the book that I picked up. It was between this book and another book, and I did like any, mini, miny, mo, and I picked it up. And I'm glad I did, because it's just a book that it really challenges the way that you see your life, and it can provide a lot of clarity, a lot of peace, a lot of relief, for a lot of different situations that happen in life that we might get caught up in. It can provide a lot of relief from those situations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Let me share my takeaways from reading it. So first of all, it's by Eckhart Tolle. For those of you who don't know who Eckhart Tolle is, he's a spiritual leader, a spiritual teacher, #1 New York Times bestselling author. He also has another book called A New Earth, which was gifted to me by a friend, because all my friends that know me well know that I love to read. And that one is another good one that I want to dive into. But for now, we'll stick to this one. And yeah, so essentially Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual teacher, and this book is all about spirituality. So before we get into like the takeaways, I want to start off with a topic that we're all familiar with, which is pain. We can look pain up in the dictionary and figure out like what is it? What does it mean to be in pain? How are we affected by pain? How does pain go back in our past, et cetera, et cetera. But essentially, like the book starts off with this premise that there's two types of pain. There's the pain from the past that we have all encountered, right? And then there's the pain that you are actively creating right now. So, the pain of the past is, of course, like childhood trauma, things like that you've experienced that have ultimately shaped who you are today. It's the things that you necessarily didn't have control over. So like I said, growing up in certain environments or being around certain people, I feel like our families have a way of providing us with pain, maybe, knowingly or unknowingly. And which is okay. Every family has with it its stories of pain, right? And so you have the pain from the past, and then you have the pain that you're actively creating right now. Now, everybody probably like, I'm actively creating pain. Like, what do you mean? And that's the thing. Like, we don't know it, but sometimes we are the villain in our own story because we're not aware of the pain that we're creating for ourselves. So, for example, let's say I'm in a bad relationship, right? And I know it's a bad relationship, but I continue to be in that relationship. It's like, I know this relationship isn't good for me. I know that this relationship isn't going anywhere. And I know that I'm not getting anything but one thing out of this relationship. But yet I still have this relationship in my life. So it's like, that's where you're creating pain for yourself, is because if you know something's not good for you and you're actively participating in something that's not good for you, then now you're going to face the consequences of that decision that you made. And that's how pain, like, depending on the degree of the situation, that's how pain is created in the present. And so, we're all actively creating our pain if we're not aware of it, if we're not aware of our situations, who we're hanging around, who we're involved with, etc. And so that leads me to my first takeaway, which is that the unobserved mind is your greatest enemy. Now, notice how I said unobserved mind. That's the key word here. That's the key word. You said for yourself and for the other person. Exactly. Yes, for yourself and for the other person. Hold on, wait. I gotta pause. Cause that is so huge. Thank you for throwing that out there. So for the people on YouTube, someone commented on Instagram and said that you're actively creating pain for yourself and for the other person. So let's rewind. That is so true, because not only are you, when we're in situations and circumstances, not only are you creating that pain for yourself, but the other person that is also involved, and people that may be underneath your care, innocent kids, or people that you're caring for, who might also be bystanders of your consequences or your actions. Now they are also experiencing that same pain. So I'm glad you said that. But yeah, the first takeaway here is that the unobserved mind is your greatest enemy. And now I want to break down what unobserved mind, what that really means. Because when we're talking about the unobserved mind, we're talking about, everyone has a mind, right? We have thoughts. Thoughts come in, out. We can hold on to them. We can let them go, etc. We also have this thing called consciousness, which is like being able to observe the thoughts that you're thinking, that's coming in, that's coming out, and things like that. That's the part of you, which the book argues that's what being is about. It's about being conscious, being present. And when you allow your mind to kind of just do whatever, it tends to be a self-destructive pattern that we get involved in. And unless we are able to watch our mind and see where it goes, see where it's leading, we can end up dang near about to kill ourselves. And this has happened. People who have allowed themselves to think a certain thing for an extended period of time, now they're in this dark, depressive slump, and now they're ready to take themselves out of this world because they are not controlling their mind. Their mind, they're not observing the thoughts that are inside of their mind. So I said it's our greatest enemy because the unobserved mind is our greatest enemy, because it can be very destructive. If we don't pay attention to it, if we just let it do what it does. So the thing about pain is the intensity of the pain is usually to the degree of how unwilling we are to accept what is. So if something is occurring in our world, there's a situation going on and it's causing us pain, right? Let's say I'm broke, right? I don't have no money. And I'm like, dang, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills tomorrow, right? Or I just don't know. And the more that I try to resist that fact, the more pain that I'm causing myself. The more that I try to live in delusion and act like, I don't have bills to pay and that it's okay, blah, blah, blah. That's the more pain that I'm causing myself. I don't think that was a great example. Let me see if I can give a better one. Because there are situations where like some things you just gotta let it go. It is what it is. But let's say pain is in such as like the most common pain, like people are like, let's say you're experiencing pain in a relationship. And that pain, let's say your partner is this person that you want them to change, you want them to be something different, and every time they're not that, it causes you pain, right? Well, you're going to continue to be in pain unless you accept the fact that this is that person, this is what they choose to be, this is who they choose, that's who they choose is them, and you either have to accept it and learn how to deal with it, or accept it and then leave. So when I say that, like, the pain, the intensity of the pain is that you experience is in relation to how unwilling you are to let something just be and accept it, that's what I meant. So think of it as like everybody has like a pain body, because the book talks about the pain body and how we all have it. And the pain body is like it's all of the collection of pain that you've experienced in your life. So from little baby all the way up until now, right? And even in the womb, because you can experience pain in the womb as your mother is carrying you. Your mother can experience pain, and that translates to you being in her womb. So the pain body can be physically violent, it can be emotionally violent, it can attack the people that you love, it can attack you. There's no limitations to what the pain body can do. And keep in mind, everybody has a pain body. And essentially the pain body wants to survive, right? That's the whole gist of the pain body. And it only can feed on pain. So pain can only feed on pain. Pain can't feed on joy. Pain can't feed on love. It can only feed on pain. So it's kind of like the Joker. I was watching a movie, Batman, Rise of Batman. I can't even remember the name. But anyways, the one with the Joker in it. And the Joker, he is like a menace to society. For those of you who have not seen the movie, he's a menace to society. He don't care about the money. He don't care about, like, most criminals, like, they're trying to go after your money, or they're trying to get revenge. He's just simply trying to ruin you. That's like his end goal is like, he knows he's going to hell. He knows he's going to hell. He knows his soul is gone, and he's trying to take yours, and he's trying to ruin you. That's what the pain body is like. That's what you can compare the pain body to, the Joker. And so once the pain body takes over you have two things. You can either become a victim or a perpetrator of pain. This is what the book talks about. Once we allow that pain body to take us over and basically overcome who we are, we start to identify with it, then now I'm either a victim or I'm either a perpetrator of pain. So I'm either going to be a victim of pain or a perpetrator. Two things. Your responsibility in this world is to not create further pain for yourself. That's like the end goal, right? You have experienced enough pain. The people around you have experienced enough pain. And your goal, your responsibility as a human being is to minimize that as much as possible. I'm not saying that things don't happen, situations won't occur where, you might experience pain, but in things that you can control, what you can control. There's a lot that we can control about the pain that we experience, and we have to be more responsible with that power. So, which leads me to my second point, which is that fear is at the root of our basic underlying emotional pain. So when we are experiencing pain, we essentially have a fear of either it's like a phobia, we dread something, we're worried about something, we have anxiety about something, we're nervous about something, we're experiencing tension about something. So there's just some situation where you are afraid that something bad is going to come about whatever is occurring, right? And there's many causes of pain. There's fear of loss, there's fear of failure, fear of hurt. But you have to ask yourself, who is being hurt? Who is failing? Is it you? The real you, who you actually are? Are you failing? Or is your ego? Is it the ego that you're identifying with that's failing? Is it the ego that you're identifying with that's hurt? And it's the book. I love the way that the book kind of has it's a dialogue that goes back and forth between the author and this character who's basically has all these questions of well, what if this and what if that? And, what about this situation? What if I'm in dire, need of whatever? And what if the pain, I didn't cause it? And the author literally responds with all these their most wisest responses, and basically brings everything back to the present moment. It's really interesting how Eckhart, how he does it. And that's what I really appreciated about the book, because it's as you're reading it, you're naturally going to have questions about well, what if I didn't create the pain? What if I don't, and he's he has a response for it all. So, I really appreciated that. Now, also the book talks about in the whole fearing of loss and failure and hurt and things like that. It's really just the ego. The ego is the one that's afraid. And your ego is essentially afraid of no longer being important, no longer being cared about, no longer being a thought or a thing in someone's mind. The ego is scared of annihilation, is the way that the book put it. And when the ego is right, you're on cloud nine. You're man, I told you so. When the ego is wrong, you're defensive, you're aggressive, you're trying to defend your point, you're trying to make a statement, prove something. And it's essentially not a good state of being, because you're missing out on the present moment. The more you're trying to defend the past or prove the future, you're missing out on what's happening right now. And freedom from self-identifying with the mind allows you to be able to state clearly and firmly how you feel or what you think, because you're not identifying with something that's not stable, which is your mind. You're identifying with something that is true, which is real, which is being. It's just, this is what it is. I'm going to come from this stance because this is how I feel this is what I feel is right. This is what I think is right. And I'm not basing it on my ego. So I can say what I want. I can do what I want freely, because it's not how I feel, and what I'm doing is not changing. It's consistent. So let me quote the book here, page 45. So it says, so anyone who is identified with their mind and therefore disconnected from their true power, their deeper self rooted in being, will have fear as their constant companion. Constant companion. Whew, I love vocabulary. It's just so, the way sentences are put together and the way that the words are, the order of them in a sentence is it should be studied, because it has so much intentional meaning. But so let's step back a second, and let's come back into the real world, which is Not saying that the book is not the real world, but let's come back into what life looks like, presently. Presently, life is all about what you have, what you can accomplish, what you can obtain, what you can't obtain. So possessions, recognition, special abilities, the work you do, knowledge and education, relationships, social status, physical appearance, personal and family history, political stances, belief systems, racial identities, religions, nationalistic and other collective identifications. That's what our world looks like today. We're either trying to be something, trying to strive for something, trying to prove something, or affiliated with something. It's this constant world of ego, if you will. Our whole world, I would argue, is based on our egos. And I don't necessarily think that's a good or bad thing, but I do think that the ego is very destructive, can be very destructive if it's unchecked. And I think that's what we're seeing right now is a world full of unchecked egos. Everybody wants more. Everybody has so much pride. Everybody has so much disregard for another person or their feelings, their emotions, how they think about something, what they have to say. And so essentially it's like the book is all about stay in the present moment, be now, release your ego. But the world that we live in is the complete opposite. So it's like this paradigm, which is very interesting because it's like how do we exist now? Like if everything that is out there is in direct like opposition to what it is that is good for us, how do we really exist? Author does a great job of explaining it. I'm not going to explain it because I've already read the book. I'm just going to give you my take. But that leads me to my third point, which is that all we have is now. So yes, everything out there is against the ego right now, though. What you can control right now, what you can do right now, what you can be right now is what matters. And that is the power of now, which is the title of the book, The Power of Now. That is the power of now. Yesterday, the past, and the future. It's a series of unfolding of the now. So the past couldn't exist without having a now. The future will not exist unless there is a now. So essentially, all that really matters is now. Because now is how the past was even able to exist and how the future will come. So also, you don't want to get too caught up in past because it's based upon you're basing life off of memories and identifying with those memories, which are gone. It's kind of like how we hear people talk about, you was so great in high school. You had all this potential in high school. And now you're a grown adult in your 50s and you have nothing to show for all the potential that you had in high school. It's like people get in high school and they reach the pinnacle of their life, which is unfortunate. But that's what I mean. It's like if you're identifying with the now, with the past, you're gonna always be talking about back in my day, back in my high school days, I was like this on the court, I was like that on the field. I had all the girls, all the guys, like I was doing any, like you're gonna always identify with that because that's you're basing your identity off of memories, which is gone. It's literally gone. And if you're living in the future, you're anticipating salvation, as the book says. It's like the future is like holding this promise of salvation. It's like, once I get this, then I'll be happy. Once I get here, then I'll be happy. Once I be with this person, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be kind. Then I'll be friendly. And it's like, no, don't wait until tomorrow because tomorrow might not come. Do it today. Be happy today. Be present today. Be joyful today. Be friendly today. Be a pleasure in someone's life today. Do it today. Do it now. And be it. Just be it. Don't think about it. Don't try to manipulate the situation. Ultimately, all this, when we're talking about past and future, all it is an attempt to control what essentially we really, as humans, we're limited. Like, we're trying to control things. And when we can't let the past go and let the future go and just be present, it's ultimately because we're struggling to control. We're struggling to let go of that control that we're so used to having. So, also, I say all this to say too, like, time is still useful for practical things. Like, don't just disregard time. Time is how we use, is the concept of like what's happening now so that we can communicate, plan things, et cetera, et cetera. And, as the book says, like, there's a time and a place when you should use your mind, when you should be practical about time and things like that. But we've let it overcome our society. Time has become our ruler. We're always pressed for time. There's never enough time. And we want to operate from within. We want to operate from being within. So I'm going to leave everybody with one quote from the book that I really, really like. It's one of them things, like, when you read it, it just strikes a chord. It says, "Neither your happiness nor your sense of self depends on the outcome, and so there is freedom from fear. You don't seek permanency where it cannot be found in the world of form, of gain and loss, birth and death. You don't demand that situations, conditions, places, or people should make you happy and then suffer when they don't live up to your expectations. Everything is honored, but nothing matters. Forms are born and die, yet you are aware of the eternal underneath the forms. You know that nothing real can be threatened." And then that's where we drop the mic and the bomb explodes, because, whew, did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just read? I love Beyonce, and this is why. Beyonce has a song, and it goes, "Nothing real can be threatened. True love brings salvation back into me." And this book, it goes hand in hand with that. It's like, once you know that, and once you live your life in accordance with that truth, right? And you feel that, and you breathe that, and you live that, you operate different. You look at things different. You respect life differently. You respect time differently. And you know that at the end of the day, what's real is beneath all of this. It's not what we look like. It's not what we have. It's not what we don't have. It's who we are. It's what is at the core of our being, which is our being itself. So for anyone interested, once again, the book is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And once again, happy Father's Day to everyone. I keep saying everyone. Happy Father's Day to the fathers, period. If you're a father, you've been a father, it's not your kid, and you're still the father, happy Father's Day. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all again next week. Bye.